I was young and I was new to dating and I didn't know what was normal, what was expected of me as a partner. And so when we would hang out and he would try to pressure me into physical activity that I didn't want to participate in, I really didn't know how to respond. Sometimes I would just get uncomfortable. I would just try to deflect his movements. And other times I would actually say no. And he didn't respect my no. I was enduring pretty severe sexual abuse by this boyfriend of mine. But not just that. There was verbal abuse and emotional abuse. I was constantly anxious. I was depressed. I couldn't focus on school or my goals or my own well-being. He was around all the time. He was also very possessive and had extreme mood swings, so I was constantly afraid to upset him. And then one day, my parents witnessed him yell at me so loudly, and I thought they were going to be bothered. I thought they were going to reach out and try to help me, but they didn't know what to do. And instead, they turned to me and they said, "Ashley, both of you get out, and you're not welcome at our house anymore." And so there I was at 18 years old, and I had nowhere to go. No money in the bank, no support system, no place to sleep. At that point in my life, I took a big overview of everything I'd gone through, and I really believed, maybe I'm just not supposed to be successful like other people. Maybe I'm just destined to struggle. Maybe I'm destined to be a victim, and I just have a different path in life. And I almost started to accept it. And so I finally made this courageous decision to try to break up with him. And he accepted it. He said, "I'm so sorry. I don't know why I act this way." And he packed his bags and he left. And I thought I was free. I thought, all right, time to start over again. Except I didn't realize how dangerous it is to break up with someone who acts this way, someone who's abusive. And 2 weeks later, there was a knock at my apartment door, and there he was. He forced his way in, and he severely, physically attacked and strangled me that night. I found myself laying on my floor and really wondering, how is this my life? How have I gotten to this point, knowing who I used to be? And I felt so defeated and broken and hopeless. Now, thankfully, I was able to get away from him and run out the door and call the police, and he was arrested that night. For many victims, they come to a breaking point where suddenly the police are there, they're questioning it. You start to take on the blame and say it was my fault, hoping that will, satisfy the police. And then the other person almost always is the opposite. They're relaxed, they're calm, and they play this pity card. And that's why for the untrained officer or the untrained eye, many times you don't know who is at fault. You don't know who the aggressor is. And so that's really challenging too. That in that moment, it was like I heard my own voice for the first time in a long time, intuition, an aha moment that said, "Ashley, now go. You never had to live any of this, and you can change your life right now." And for the first time ever, instead of saying to myself, "See, Ashley, you really are meant to struggle. Here's more proof of it," I thought to myself, I have nothing left, but that means that I have a blank slate. This is how I turn my past into a source of purpose. So I ended up telling my story, and it was the most liberating thing I've ever done. It was healing, it was empowering, and I ended up having people from the audience come up and say, "I went through something similar. Thank you for sharing your story." Focusing on self-care, being honest with yourself, surrounding yourself with more positive friends and role models, or working on your mindset. Maybe one of those stands out to you, and today you say, "I'm going to pick one and set some goals around it." But at the very least, here is my challenge to every single person in the room. I want you to go home at some point this week and write down your highest vision for yourself, because it will make all of this other stuff easier. If you want something so bad, you will do whatever it takes in order to get there. Don't consult the limitations. Consult the possibilities. This is what will make you leaders and make you stand out.
I have a really important story that I want to tell. I met my abuser when I was 19 years old. He was charming, and it all started amazing. And then one thing led to another. Started with little comments here and there. So it started with more verbal abuse, and then it started with a push or a shove, and then it became a choke. And I was like, all right, well, if you really choked me, and I'm thinking in my head, if you choked me harder, then I'm gonna leave. But then if every time I tried to leave, it kept getting worse, and I didn't know how to get out. And I thought that it was my fault because he truly blamed me for everything. And so I lost all my friends. I got dropped by every agent and manager in the business because I was doing terrible at auditions, and I truly felt like I was stuck. I did not know how to get out, and I didn't know there was a place that could help me. But also because I didn't know if anyone would believe me, I didn't know. So I just hid, and I hid, and I hid, and that's when I finally was like, I don't want to live my life like this anymore. So I prayed to my grandpa, and I said, please just take me away, because I don't want to be this person, because I was a girl full of light and full of energy and charm, and this man just broke me down to absolute nothing. So on that next day is when he choked me, said he was going to kill me, and ended up strangling me till I lost my breath. But I saw my whole life flash before my eyes. I saw my birth to my funeral, and I just remember seeing my mom, and it's like, why couldn't I reach out to my family? And that's what I love about Safe Horizon, was because there is a place where you can reach out and you can talk about it. And once my abuser was in jail and I was able to finally be set free from him, my family became my Safe Horizon. I was able to go today to see the shelter, and it was beautiful to see. I have a 14-month-old baby girl, and I would do anything in the world to protect her, and to go in there and see these beautiful children being protected means the absolute world to me as a mother. And then I also know those mothers there too are so grateful, because it inspired me to know that not only can we now speak about it, but we can also have shelter and we can get help. Another huge fear of mine was my story, because I thought that if I shared my story, then people would view me as broken. And it's been 14 years. I held it in for 14 years. But now, knowing the platform that I have, I want to be able to be a voice for you guys. I will be the loudest voice.
Does anybody ever really acknowledge the good you are? No. Do you know the good you are? Do you know it?
And I remember having a moment thinking, I'm now, for the rest of my life, going to be called a bad girl. I really don't belong here, and I don't even know how this happened to me, that I am in a place for bad girls, because I didn't feel like I was a bad girl.
And so the question is, what do you believe? Do you believe that you are worthy of happiness? I know that if you allow the past to define your present, that you never actually really get to live the life that you were meant to live.
You are responsible for your life. And if you're sitting around waiting on somebody to save you, to fix you, to even help you, you are wasting your time, because only you have the power to take responsibility to move your life forward.
I had failed on an epic scale. An exceptionally short-lived marriage had imploded, and I was jobless, a lone parent, and as poor as it is possible to be in modern Britain without being homeless. The fears that my parents had had for me and that I had had for myself had both come to pass. And by every usual standard, I was the biggest failure I knew. Now, I'm not going to stand here and tell you that failure is fun. That period of my life was a dark one, and for a long time, any light at the end of it was a hope rather than a reality. So why do I talk about the benefits of failure? Simply because failure meant a stripping away of the inessential. I stopped pretending to myself that I was anything other than what I was, and began to direct all my energy into finishing the only work that mattered to me. Had I really succeeded at anything else, I might never have found the determination to succeed in the one arena where I believed I truly belonged. I was set free. It is impossible to live without failing at something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all, in which case you fail by default. So given a time turner, I would tell my 21-year-old self that personal happiness lies in knowing that life is not a checklist of acquisition or achievement. Your qualifications, your CV, are not your life, though you will meet many people of my age and older who confuse the two. Life is difficult and complicated and beyond anyone's total control, and the humility to know that will enable you to survive its vicissitudes.
So the question is, what do you believe? Do you believe that you are worthy of happiness? Do you believe that happiness, success, abundance, comfort, fulfillment, peace, joy, love is a part of your birthright? Is that what you believe? Because you will manifest the life that you believe. I've always known that no matter what my belief is, I'm going to be all right.
When you do well, people notice. When you do your best, people notice. And so wherever you are, always do your best. And doing your best puts you at the next level. It's about what can you do. You just need to run that race as hard as you can. You need to give it everything you've got all the time for yourself. For yourself.
As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters.
What matters is now, this moment, and your willingness to see this moment for what it is, accept it, forgive the past, take responsibility, and move forward. This is your second chance. This is your opportunity to seize this moment and make something of your life.